Hi there, welcome to the Rest course session 4. In session 3, we were exploring rest as a way of life and starting to see that kingdom rest is not really about what we do day to day, but much more about how we live in each day. Kingdom rest, as we'll keep exploring, is about our heart attitude in the midst of our external lives. And in this session, I want to explore some words Jesus shares in Luke chapter 15 in the Prodigal Parable to look at rest. It's a fascinating passage to explore in terms of rest, which perhaps might not be apparent at first, but hidden beneath the layers of Jesus' story about a dad and two sons is an incredible insight into the life of rest Jesus wants for us. If you don't know the story, it's about a dad who has two sons. The younger son asks for his inheritance, which dad duly gives him, which would have been scandalous in the time that the story is set in first century Galilee. This son then goes off, spends everything on himself, and then when it's all gone and he hits rock bottom, he comes crawling back to dad with an apology, and dad graciously and wonderfully welcomes him home. The interesting part of the story in terms of rest is what happens next. Because while father is overjoyed at the younger son's return, the elder son isn't so pleased. Luke 15:25-32. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing, so he called one of the servants and said, "What's going on?" "Oh, your brother's come home," he replied, "and your father's killed the fattened calf because he's got him back safe and sound." The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him, but he answered his father, "Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. Yet you never even gave me a young goat so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours who has squandered your property with prostitutes comes home, you kill the fattened calf for him." "My son," the father said, "you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." So imagine the scene. There's a party going on, there's a banquet, there's music, there's dancing, there's festivities, there is joy everywhere, but the older son has refused to go in, Jesus says. He adds up everything he's done for his dad and says, "Look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders." He points to all his years of good service and his unblemished record, pointing out that he's been slaving and never disobeyed his orders. In other words, I've done some stuff for you and then you go act like this. That's not fair. Where's the justice? I've worked my backside off. He goes away and squanders everything, and then he gets treated like a prince. He complains that dad never gave him a goat to celebrate with his friends. But listen to the father's response. "My son," the father said, "you are always with me, and everything I have is yours." You see, the elder son wants the father's things. He complained that he didn't get a goat, but he already had the father. He was in the father's house, in the father's presence. He was already with the father, and apparently "you are always with me," says the father to him. But this wasn't enough for him. For the older son, father's presence wasn't enough. Perhaps he was so busy slaving away to impress father, slaving away to obey father's orders, that he was too busy to just sit with him. I can imagine dad sitting down in the house, all ready to enjoy some time with the son, but the son doesn't make the time because he's too busy running around the house trying to make sure father's pleased. What he doesn't realise is that father is already pleased. Picture the scene. Father sat in a sofa a bit like this one, in a big house with lots to do. And the only interaction with son is, "I'm running around doing all your jobs, Dad," and all Dad wants is for him to sit next to him and share with him. You see, it's very difficult for us to rest if we're unsure who we are in Jesus. If we sense we must earn his love or slave away from him in any way, then rest will be very difficult to come by, because true kingdom rest is an internal state of resting in who Father God is and who we are in him. The older son had not learned to rest. He'd been told that everything dad had was his, and yet he's still slaving, trying to keep dad happy. Perhaps the son's looking for the wrong reward. Perhaps the reward is knowing that he was always with him. What about you? What reward are you thinking you deserve for all your sacrifice and hard work? What relationship are you expecting him to fix because you've done A, B, C, etc.? What financial provision are you expecting because you've worked extra hard and prayed super long? Perhaps we're looking for the wrong thing. Perhaps in all our hard work and serving, we feel we deserve something from the Father. But remember, he said, everything I have is yours. The problem is not that you don't get a reward. The problem is in your slaving. You forget that he's with you, which is the reward. See, the older son lived in the presence of Father every day, and yet he complained when the younger son was welcomed home into that same presence that he enjoyed. The issue was he didn't appreciate the presence of Father. He wasn't aware of the power of Father's presence, and he was so busy running around he forgot that what was most important was not the jobs, but the relationship. He had come to see that as long as he did everything Father asked him, then Father would be happy. But the primary thing Father wanted was to be with him, to spend time with him, to enjoy a relationship together. You know, it's so easy to get sucked into a mindset of wanting to find out what Father wants and then trying to make sure you do everything he asks of you. But this Father, the Father God that I know, does not want you to be a slave to him. Notice that the elder brother says he's been slaving for his dad. Slaves work because they're fearful of what might happen if they don't work. There is no joy in what they do, just an empty fear and dread of what may happen if they don't do it. But learning to operate in kingdom rest is learning to live in a right relationship with the Father. It's learning there's no need to slave for him because he's always with you and everything he has is yours. And our ability to settle more and more in this truth is key if we're to experience true kingdom rest. True rest is learning to rest in the love of the Father more and more and stopping our slaving to try and earn a reward.